Japan is located at the far east of the Earth and consists of around 3,000 islands, the most important of which are the four major ones: Kyushu, Shikoku, Honshu, and Hokkaido. 70% of the country is mountainous, which made it difficult to establish a state in the modern sense until around the 17th century. Tokugawa Ieyasu, who unified the Japanese clans through either military force or marriage and lineage, brought the country together in the 17th century. For 250 years, Japan entered the Edo period, or the era of isolation, named after the city that was the imperial capital. And by the way, Edo is the old name for Tokyo, the current capital of Japan. Tokugawa's restrictions included closing the doors on the Japanese themselves, which was one of Tokugawa's biggest problems. No foreigners were allowed in, no non-Japanese ships could enter the ports, and any Japanese who tried to leave Japan would face execution. Christianity was banned, and there were campaigns to hunt down and execute Christians. Tokugawa believed that these policies would help stabilize his rule. This isn't just my opinion, but what Daniel Bausman wrote in his book Punishment and Power in the Making of Modern Japan. The isolation and rejection of foreigners were major issues during Tokugawa's era, and while he saw it as a stabilizing factor, it ultimately became the reason for the downfall. The United States was not pleased with Japan's isolationist policies. This was particularly significant as the Japanese coast was rich in resources. You might think of oil, but stay with me, and I'll tell you that America's goal at the time was coal mines and whale oil, which was used to lubricate factory machines. The United States sent several warships, lowered their sails, and raised their weapons. Indeed, America pressured Japan through a military-naval campaign in 1854, allowing ships to dock in the ports of Shimoda and Hakodate, which became known as the Treaty of Kanagawa. This greatly weakened the Tokugawa Shogunate's position. Isolation was the biggest external crisis for the Tokugawa regime. Internally, feudalism and the class system divided Japanese society into classes to control their entry and loyalty. For example, the farmers were prohibited from owning land to prevent them from becoming wealthy. The artisans and craftsmen were also restricted from becoming rich. The nobles were tasked with learning only and living a life away from any military activity. And then there were the samurai, who were somewhat like the police but looked different, each one carrying a sword, riding a horse, wearing their kimono and armor, and sporting a ponytail to resemble Tom Cruise and his friends in The Last Samurai. Tokugawa wanted each class to remain in its place to prevent any ambitions or uprisings. I mentioned the samurai earlier. What exactly is a samurai?